Kneaver is not a project that came to my mind yesterday. It's a long-term project. I've been spending a lot of time trying to do experiments, one after the other, different prototypes and so on. But one of my major problems was I see the benefit for myself, but to whom could it apply, and how could I find the people who would be interested and benefit the most from Kneaver? This has been a long-term thinking, and it's only recently that I realized that I should try first to look for the people like me, and possibly now extend to the people like us, like Seth explained to us. So it took me a while to understand how my way to work, how I behave in front of knowledge and learning is possibly different from other people. And that's where I came by the fact that I have multiple domains of interest. I'm not specialized in one domain. I have plenty of domains in which I'm interested in, and a few of them where I would say I excel, like mathematics or software design, or not too bad in management as well. The second thing that I learned from discussion with others and especially from Became Chat, which is the weekly Twitter chat that I'm doing, is that I'm among people who are constant learners. I'll come back to this question of the constant learners. Inside the category of the constant learners, there are people who are always willing to try. They want to apply, and they don't learn just for learning. It's not because they have a passion in learning. It's because they want to apply. So, what does it mean having multiple domain of interest? We have multiple domain of interest. And then I came across a discussion with Violeta, and she talked about her concept at that time was what she called the multi-passionate. That's a little bit more interesting because a passion is something where you go deep. It's not shallow knowledge anymore. And then I came to this question of the constant learners. And what do the constant learners have as different from other people is that they continually seek and find new sources, but instead of only consuming these sources, they question them. They ask questions. Why? What can I do with it? How can I do? How further I can go? And they want to apply and to make experiment. It's not just for learning. And this brings them to more curiosity. And like this, they keep learning all the time. Another term that came in my inquiry was polymath. Oops, not a polymath in grammar, obviously. But this is again very particular. Polymath are people who are, I would say, very good in multiple domains, but they are really exceptionally good. So that's a very, very narrow population. And then more recently I came under the idea, and this is the idea I'm going to stick to, of M-shaped people. So we have the I, the specialist. We have the flat like this, which are people who have a very vast knowledge on many things, but rather shallow. And we have the T people, who are specialized in one domain with vast knowledge in other areas. And then if you extend a little bit the T, and if you have curious people, then you arrive to the M-shaped people. And the M-shaped people, you typically find them as entrepreneurs, as inventors, creative. Because in all of these fields, you typically combine multiple knowledge to reach one output, to achieve one goal. You have to combine the knowledge from different sources. If you want to make sculptures, of course you need to have a little bit of knowledge in art, but you also need to have knowledge in how to make it solid and how to eventually build it. So it will require knowledge in your hands, manual knowledge. So entrepreneurs are a little bit the same. Typically they will come from their original core specialty, but they will add new wings and new capabilities outside of their core knowledge so that they can execute on their core project. So let's start by thinking to whom it's not. For whom Kneaver is not interesting. First, we have the students. Students are a special case of constant learners. They are full-time learners. Full-time, they are guided. They have a curriculum. And this is what is guiding what they learn. So they have already a framework. They have already a skeleton of everything where they should go. And step after step, they are visiting those places and learning from their teacher, from their books, from whatever. But they have a skeleton. So it's not like a constant learner who is exploring based on what he needs. First, he looks what he needs, then he's seeking the knowledge which is required for achieving his goals. That's a different process. Typically, students learn from very articulated sources. People have been thinking about how to explain and how to teach those things for a long time. And it's not new knowledge. It's not something that has been discovered the day before. They are directed and it's called formal education. It's organized. If we make the comparison with the constant learner, first it's something they do mixed with work. They don't have time to learn and time to work. It's the two goes together. It's more you learn before you start something new, and you learn a little bit after, and you learn during the breaks, and you learn in the evening, you learn in the morning. But it's not days of learning and days of work. They have no curriculum. It's an inquiry mode. They look what they need, and from there they grab everything they can from blogs, from newsletters, from courses sometimes, but the courses they take them very selectively. and they are self-directed, and they are driven by application. So these are not my goal, and this is my target. If you look at the loop of the constant learner starts at one point. There he discovers he has a need. He will look where are the best way to learn what he needs. And when he's achieved a little bit of learning, when he has accumulated a little bit of learning, he's going to enter a loop of experiment, and he's going to try from what he learned. So that would be the seek stage, that would be the learn stage, that would be the try stage. And of course, from what she tries, she will learn more. First, she will deepen what she learned from the prior cycle, but she will also learn from experience. Things that nobody discovered before, nobody told us. From all this part here, typically we have notes and we have sources. So on need, we can go back to here. But once we get here, it's very granular, very partial, very iterative. It's more like a journal. And in this journal, you have the journal, and here and there, you will have occasionally a few ideas which are important and you want to keep. And if the only thing you do is to highlight them in your journal, they will go away like the flowers, the center of the flowers when the wind is blowing, and it will be forgotten unless you use it all the time. But whatever was a little bit marginal will be forgotten. So Kneaver is like a big vacuum cleaner that you hang on top, and you absorb all the things and keep them just as raw ideas to start with. For whom is it? Well, we can already remove the people who are accumulating a shallow knowledge on almost everything at random. Nice people. They are curious. They read the news all the time. They have a wide area of interest, and they can bring you back one fact, one thing they learn here, one thing they learn here, one thing they learn here. But on everything they learn, they have very limited capability of connecting dots and making new inference and having new ideas. They just have a vast general knowledge. Just as the opposite, we have the specialist. The specialists start in one topic and they drill, they go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more deep they go, the more focused they are. They start by something which is a little bit large, and they drill. It's like a pin entering in the deep level of knowledge. And they are all day long on the same topic, all day long trying to connect things inside what they learn. They start from one place and they will connect here, and they will go back, and they will return, and they will discuss with other people who are also specialists and bring them back. We absolutely need these kind of people. They are very necessary if we want to really go very deep in very hard topics. But since they are all day long in it, they don't really need help. They keep everything in their brain, and it's perfectly well there. They constantly fetch from what they know because they are constantly engaged in deep discussions with other people. So there is very little risk that they forget things which can be interesting one day. So we are not interested by those people. They are very nice, but they are not for us. If you're like me, if you are part of the people like us, you are like this. You have a little bit of general knowledge, and because of your studies or because of the work, you have been spending 5-6 years of work already, maybe 10, maybe 15, which means you are not a student anymore for a long, long time. And you have been drilling a little bit less deep, of course, in one topic. And now you reach a time in your career where being a specialist is not an option for you. It's not the path that you see. This road is not interesting for you, for whatever reason. That's a road that leads to this guy here. Or maybe simply you are tired of this domain, you have accumulated plenty of experience, you have done it for plenty of years, now you want to see some other fields and some other pastures. So you go back to your knowledge and you try to extend it a little bit on each side. And then you reach what is called a T-shaped person. You have a good specialist, a good knowledge in one specialty, and a little bit of shallow knowledge on a large domain. So you are very interesting. You have a very interesting potential for companies to become a manager, because now on top of your core skill, you have acquired some soft skills around it, or you are interesting to become support in marketing or in sales because you are interested in those domains as well. You are not narrow-minded into your own specialty. You have removed your blindfolds around your eyes, and you are open to learn more things in other fields. Now, if you really want to become something like an entrepreneur, and especially if you are bootstrapping, you need to acquire more than the T-shape. You need to acquire a little bit deeper competencies in totally different domains. And so slowly the shape of your knowledge is more looking like this. And that starts to be hard. That's a time where many people will encounter a kind of plateau because they don't know how to learn. They learn at school, that's long ago, and when they were learning only in the directed scheme with a curriculum, with check marks. You need to learn that, and with SAT, and with standard examination and compliance and so on. Now you have to go deeper than that. You have to cross this level. And when you cross this level, the problem is that you start to have your mind cluttered. You start to have a little bit of chunks, a little bit everywhere. You lack time to apply. So that's where you start to need help. The more so that it's not the goal here. It's not just to deepen the knowledge, it's to reconnect them. That's what we want to have. We want to have connections, connecting the different capabilities and being able to apply, for example, what you learn in marketing, you want to apply it to your core work, and what you learn from management and finance, you want to apply it to marketing, and what you learn in design, you want to apply it to your web design, and so on and so on. So here you have a need. You have a need to change, and that's the people I can help the most. Well, let's restate. First of all, let's make a difference. You start with a brain. Here you are. Here you are. and you have a brain. This has been given to us for already a long, long time. And then rather recently, when I say rather recently, a few hundred years ago, we introduced text and we introduced notes. And most of the apps today that you know just transposed this system into computers. But our ideas are not text. Our ideas are not notes. Our ideas are here. And the difficulty happened on this bridge here. And that's where Kneaver stay here. We don't ask you to formalize everything into notes. We don't ask you to have fully written text on everything you are starting to understand. So you can see Kneaver as being here on your side, sitting on the bridge and offering help with his head so that it becomes easier and faster to get out from what you have from your brain and slowly make sense of it. So what do we have here on the before, and what do we have here after the change is made, change provided by Kneaver? Here we have confusion. A lot of new ideas are coming in. Are they the same? Maybe. Are they different? Maybe. They don't have the same name. It's not coming from the same domain. One thing is coming from learning. One thing is coming from marketing. Well, it could be that it's the same thing. Change management, for example, is the same in marketing and in human resource. Basically, you try to change man. There is this feeling of plateau that I explained before. Too much learning in the same time. You are overwhelmed. You reach cognitive overload. Your energy is drained into learning, but you need to do other things. You are not just a learner. You are not a student. So you have to take care to the regular business as well every day. You can't be totally focused on it. So what we want to have on this side is clarity. The clarity which is necessary so we can see learning and acquiring deeper knowledge like climbing stairs. It's not a plateau anymore. That's a plateau, and then up again, and then up again, and then up again, and so on. That's what Kneaver provides. You have been told that you could use notes application like Google Note or Evernote or whatever, but the notes are here, and notes come with a lot of problems. While here we deal with ideas only, very short, little piece of text, very granular. Here we ask you to do long form. And if you do short form in it, it's a problem because you cannot get to each individual idea. You can get to the note, you remember it's in the note, then you have to read the whole note again just to find that at the very end there is one thing which was interesting. That's a waste of time. On Kneaver, we are dealing with ideas and we connect those ideas into network or rhizome if you like it. Rhizome is maybe the best comparison. Here you have documents. It's a world of documents. Here we are view agnostic. You want to see everything as text? Let's see it as text. You want to see it as tables? Let's see it as tables. You want to see it as maps? Let's see it on maps. It's the same ideas, the same network, the same concept. It's just one click away. Click, click, click. You want to see it a map? You click map. You want to see it as a table? You click. Oh, and you have the cards also. You know, like Pinterest. So you can see them in cards also. Documents introduce borders and introduce silos. We break the borders. We don't need borders. We don't need silos. Here it's a very iterative process for articulating. Here, articulating is just connecting dots. Here, it's linear. Everything is linear, plus silos. Well, that's what we bring. Clarity, progressive way to learn, a way to keep everything, even if it's very small, and to gradually make it into your brain. Now there is one thing more. Here it's just dead document. It's nice, but we are back to here. On this side, there is a whole learning system attached to it. You can set objective. You can say, I want to learn that, I want to learn that. What did I check for more than 2 weeks? And you can have the system show you random list of ideas. So you have no control on what will be shown, and this prompts you to try to remember. It's called retrieval practice. It forces you to remember everything, the context where you wrote this idea and what came with it. And once you have wrote it back into your memory, you can directly edit the item and connect it to the new ideas that you had in between. Because very often when you practice retrieval, you bring back old memories, things you have more or less forgotten, but you also bring new ideas. So if you are in a pure learning system, well, you have retrieved the old ideas, very good. You can check a mark. But if you want it at the same time start adding new ideas, you are blocked because you are not in the right software. You always have to jump from one software to another depending on the need you do, on the action you are doing on your knowledge. Finally, that's maybe also interesting, Kneaver brings visuals. Visuals are first-class citizens inside Kneaver. That's all for today.